Hello everybody and welcome to the ToniSport Newsfeed. Today we talk about the Rollcenter, one of the most important setup options you have on almost every race car. And it is very important because you can take a huge influence on the general handling and the general behavior of your car on the track. For me it was interesting to see that we got a lot of requests about a video like this, but I was a little bit afraid as well because explaining Rollcenter and Rollcenter handling in action is not so easy. It's a little bit complicated, and for me I was not sure if I can do it in a good way. But today I will give you the knowledge and the basic knowledge what it's all about when we're talking Rollcenters. So I would say let's get it started. I created a small diagram which I want to show you now, and later on we will also take a closer look at the car, and I will show you the options you have to change the Rollcenter height in your car. So let's get it started, and I hope you can enjoy the video and maybe you can learn a little bit about a Rollcenter. So now we want to take a closer look on the Rollcenter and we try to find it. I painted this nice and super cool diagram, and for the first step I want to introduce you to the car. This is the suspension arm. This is a beautiful black tire which stands on the ground, and here you have the camber link which goes from the upright to the bulkhead. This is the bulkhead center section with the chassis plate, and normally here you will find your spool or your gear differential. In the first step I painted a center line here into the picture which marks the middle of the car. And I also marked the CG, the center of gravity, which in this example is located exactly here. Every race car has its own center of gravity, and this depends on the build of the car, and in our case in RC racing it depends on the chassis layout and also on the electronics you are using and where you're mounting them and the weight balance and all these things. Together they are standing for the center of gravity. So the next step to define where the Rollcenter is really simple to explain. You can see the two pink lines I painted here into our diagram, and this one here is the line which your turnbuckle will create when you paint the line into infinity, and the same here with the lower wishbone with the suspension arm. When you draw the line further into no man's land, these two lines, they will meet somewhere. I don't know where, but it's somewhere in the galaxy. And where these two lines from the suspension arm and from the turnbuckle, where these two lines are meeting each other, they are creating an instant point, and this point is now really important to find our Rollcenter in the next step. So the final step to find the Rollcenter is the yellow line you now can see in our picture. The yellow line goes from the surface of the tire, which stands on the ground, from the inside point. The yellow line goes all the way up into no man's land until it is meeting our instant point, which we created here from the lines of the suspension arm and the camber link. So you have to connect the instant point to the position the tire stands on the ground. And this yellow line here will meet the orange center line at some point, and on this meeting point we can define our Rollcenter. I marked it here with the RC, with the Rollcenter, and normally the Rollcenter is always a little bit lower than the center of gravity. I hope that you now can understand that it's really simple or really easy to change the instant point, because when you change your suspension arm more up, more down, or if the angle is changing, the same with the camber link, you will definitely take influence on the position of the instant point. And when the instant point goes up or down, and you then draw the connection line from the tire to the instant point, you will also move your Rollcenter up and down. And this is the theory of the Rollcenter explained in a really simple way. Yeah, a lot of theory in case of Rollcenter. I hope it was interesting for you until now. We have learned that the Rollcenter is super important and that it's a point which is created by the suspension geometry of your car, and this Rollcenter will definitely define how much your car will roll through a corner, or even the car will not roll that much through the corner. The Rollcenter will get its maximum effect when you are cornering and the maximum forces are working on the car, when the car leans from one to the other side and when all the forces are applied to the components of your suspension. Then the geometry gets to work and your Rollcenter will have the biggest influence on the handling of your car. It is important to experiment with the Rollcenter a lot, and how you can change the Rollcenter, how you can raise it or lower it, we will see in the next step when we take a closer look under the hood of my car. So after our lesson on the paper, we just take a look on the car now. As we learned, we can change the Rollcenter with the suspension arms and with the camber links as well. So first of all, I want to talk about changing the Rollcenter here on the suspension arms, because in my opinion it has a little bit a different feeling or a stronger effect. So when you are building your car, you normally have in today's cars these kinds of inserts which you can use to make the car more narrow or more wide, and most of the inserts are usable in different heights as well, and with these different heights you can change then the position of the suspension arm, lower or higher, and with this change you change the Rollcenter massively. It is important to know that you will lower the Rollcenter of the car when you are going down with the inserts and with the pin, and you are creating a higher Rollcenter when you go up with the inserts and the pin here inside. This is first very important to know, because it is the opposite than when you are changing the Rollcenter with your camber links. When you are going low with the camber link, your Rollcenter will go up, and when you go more high with your camber link here, your Rollcenter will go down. So it's the opposite. Turnbuckle and suspension arms are in the opposite direction working when it comes to the Rollcenter. So always keep that in mind. For me personally, I experiment a little bit more with the Rollcenter options here on the suspension arms, and sometimes I also change the shims here on the camber links, but maybe 1 millimeter up or down. It's a change which is really quickly made, instead of changing the inserts here on the suspension arms. But when you get used to it, the suspension arm change is also made really quickly. Always keep in mind, when you change the inserts here, when you change the Rollcenter, you always have to check your droop once again, because that will change, and you should check the camber and the ride height as well, because you're taking influence on the shock position and on everything else. Now it's the big question. It doesn't matter if you change your Rollcenter here on the camber link or on the arms. What will change on the track? Which Rollcenter has which effect? And I try to explain it as simple as I can. When you are going with a lower Rollcenter here on the suspension arms, so when you go down with the inserts, your suspension arm isn't straight anymore. It gets angled even more and more, like this. When you have arms who are angled a lot, your car is leaning more from side to side. It is rolling a little bit more because it's initially softer then, and it's creating the most of the traction in the second and in the last stage of the corner. So from the middle of the corner your car will work and will create more traction, but in the first moments when you are entering a corner, your car will tend to roll more. It will feel really smooth and soft, and it is not super aggressive. So a lower Rollcenter here on the pins is always good when you are running on a really high bite track where your car is tending to traction roll. And with the low roll center, you take away the aggressiveness of the car on the racetrack. When you're going with a higher roll center, which means that your insert is going up or your camber links is going down, more angled. With the higher roll center, your suspension arm is not having this angle anymore. It gets more and more straight as higher you go with the insert. So when the arms are more straight, your car will be initially a little bit harder. It is more reactive in the first moments, and it will not roll that much anymore. And this will give you the feeling of a lot of initial traction. You will feel an aggressive car, and this can be a benefit whenever you're racing on tight tracks with very tight corners where you have to make fast direction changes in chicanes and in hairpins and stuff like that. Your car will have a lot of traction going into the corner in the first moments, and maybe the traction will fade away a little bit during the end of the corner. But on tight tracks, it's most of the time it's more than enough traction the car has at the exit of the corner then as well with a higher roll center. So always keep in mind that the change of the roll center on the camber link is possible as well. Your camber link is has the same theory than your arms as well. When you change the shims, when you go up or down on this side, your camber link gets more angled. You will have a different camber gain, and you will, as I said before, create a higher roll center like this and a lower roll center as more your camber link is straight and more the camber link is mounted upwards. So that's the theory of the roll center, and these are the options you have to change the roll center, and I only can recommend you to test a lot on the racetrack. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video about the roll center. For me it was not easy to make the video, but finally I enjoyed it as well, because I had to read some stuff by myself, and I also got some better knowledge or some fresh knowledge about the roll center topic, and it is something really important because the geometry on the race car, on the suspension, is one of the most important things, and this will be defining how good your car will be on the track or not. So if you haven't tested a lot with the roll center until now, you just should invest some time, just make some changes. Sometimes it's interesting to make crazy changes to see how much effect you will feel on the track, and you can maybe get an almost perfect car to an amazing car. But when you change the roll center completely in the wrong direction, your car is maybe undrivable on the track. And this is something where you can learn a lot from and prepare better for the next race events. The roll center is also a big and important thing for the real racing teams in Formula 1 or IndyCar or NASCAR or wherever. They are all having a big focus on the roll center. They have computer programs to simulate everything. So we cannot do this at the racetrack so easy, but you can learn and try by yourself with the lower suspension arms, with all the inserts, with the camber links, with some shims. You can change it relatively quickly, and you can feel the difference right on the track. That's the video for today. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about the roll center topic, just leave your comments here below the video, and if you have some different experiences or maybe some other knowledges about it, just share it with us, and we all can get faster together. That's it for today. Thank you for watching the video, and always keep in mind, race with ToniSport. You will never race alone. Goodbye guys.